Hello, hello. Hey, it's David Miller and
Marie.
I got her off the tennis court today for this here. So
Happy Friday, everybody.
That's right, happy Friday. So, hey, today we're here to help you get
Real estate smart.
So, the subject today is appropriate. It's the top 5 reasons why an appraisal could come in low. Now, in today's market, this can happen quite a bit. It is a little bit crazy out there, and our dog's coming here. So hello, come here, Riley. Here's Riley. She's a little crazy.
She's
Anyways,
a little crazy.
If you hear a dog, that's going to be her. So in today's market, with inventory so low and with inventory moving so quickly, it's really a good subject to really understand and educate yourself on. Because if you're a seller, you go under contract, and you go through the inspection process and everything's looking good, and all of a sudden it doesn't appraise, it can really kill the deal, and that's not a good thing. From a buyer perspective, Emery, how does that affect you?
Oh gosh, buyers, they fall in love with a house, and we get through the inspection period and the appraisal comes back low. I mean, it's devastating to a buyer depending on the outcome. It's called renegotiation time. So
Absolutely.
Depending on how that turns out, it could be very devastating.
Absolutely. So it's good to educate yourself on why it can come in low, and then at the very end we're going to give you some tips on some things you can do to sort of help yourself out. So the first reason is, and this is the number one reason, is that the market could be moving too quickly. So that's like today's market. Houses below 300,000, there's not a lot of inventory out there. So what's happening is when houses hit the market, they're getting multiple offers, and obviously because of high demand and low supply, it's appreciating very quickly. Mm-hmm. And what happens is that the appraisers, when they do appraisals, they don't look at pending sales, they don't look at active sales, they look at sold sales. Now, sold sales are already old data. And if the market's moving too quickly, they may be a little bit behind. So that definitely could affect the value of the property. How about the second reason?
Well, your mama always told you never to be the most expensive house in the neighborhood. So, that still stands true in today's market, because if you are the best house or the most expensive house in the neighborhood, obviously all the other houses are going to be lower in price and could bring that price down. So you always want to be either in the mid-range or the lower range of that particular neighborhood.
And Mama's never wrong, right?
That's
right, Mama?
Usually that's right.
That's right, that's right.
I like to think it's that way.
Of course, of course. Now the third reason is that the house could be, big word here, functional obsolescence. So what does that mean? That means that your house, maybe your floor plan is a bit unique. It has things that maybe a lot of buyers aren't looking for. Maybe you added on a bedroom and it's on the other side of the house, and the closest bathroom forces somebody to walk through the family room to get to the bathroom. Or maybe you have to walk through like a living room to get to the master bedroom. Those type of things you may not think about. It may be good for you, but to the average buyer out there, it's not going to be too appealing, and then the appraiser is definitely going to account for that.
That usually occurs in like the 70s, 80s houses.
Yeah. Older houses that people did a lot of additions to.
Yeah,
so.
And a lot different architecture back then.
Yeah. And they did one addition, then they did another one, then they did another one. So rather than buying their house, they have this house that has multiple levels, multiple things. I sold one last year in Deltona. It was a little unique. It did sell though, but it had a special buyer that was looking for that exactly. What about the fourth item, Anne-Marie?
Well, your improvements are not as much as you think they are. So basically what that means is a lot of sellers, when I'm helping a buyer out and purchasing a house, and I'm looking at the comps and comparables within the neighborhood, a lot of the sellers will come in and say, well, I just put a new AC unit in. Well, an AC unit, although wonderful and much needed in Florida, is not necessarily an adjustable upgrade. You're talking about cosmetics, things like granite countertops or wood flooring or tile flooring, things like that are going to be the upgrades that can be adjusted.
Absolutely. And on the selling side, I hear this a lot, like I got a new roof or I got a new AC unit. And those are great from marketing perspectives, but you're not going to get that money out. because they're considered maintenance items. If you have a hole in the roof, you're going to fix it. If your AC is not working in the middle of summertime, you're going to fix it. So that's another reason why an appraisal may not come in as high as you may think.
If I can just add one thing in here, and that's that, you know, when we go into houses, we look at 4 big ticket items: the roof, the AC, the plumbing, and the electrical. Those 4 are not upgraded adjustments that you can do. They're wonderful for buyers to have because they will continue down that road if those particular items, those particular big ticket items are upgraded, but it's not adjustable. So
absolutely. And then the last item, number 5, is that there may not be enough homes in the area that are good comps. So we find this usually in the rural areas of town where you don't have a lot of neighborhoods together, or it could even be lakefront properties. If you're in a rural area with a lakefront property, you know, appraisers try to stay within the neighborhood first. If they don't, then they start going outside. Typically not outside 2 miles, but with the lakefront properties, I've seen them go out 5, even 10 miles. And when they do that, they may get into a totally different area of town where those houses aren't selling for as much as houses in your area. So that could definitely affect the value of your property. So those are the top 5 reasons. So here's a little bonus for you. From a tip perspective on some things you can do if you're selling your house to try to get it appraised for as much as you possibly can. The number one thing I like to tell my sellers is treat it like a showing. Have the house cleaned up, beds made, have all the lights on, even have some light jazz music going on. Get the appraiser in the mood to appraise your house. Okay? Because you may think that the appraiser is just coming out there to do measurements and stuff. That's not the case. The visual things affect what he's thinking of your property, if it's in great shape or not great shape. So take the extra time to get your house ready as if it's a showing, and that will help you out. The number 2 thing is make sure that you have your agent give the appraiser the improvements that you've done to the property since you've been there. That's a question they always ask, and you should have that already put together and emailed to them prior to their, you know, such as we put in wood floors, or we did tiled floors, we did granite, we updated the bathrooms. Whatever the case may be, those are items that the appraiser are going to use to make those adjustments that Anne-Marie talked about to have it come in as high as possible. And in today's market, that is the most important thing, is to get your house appraised, because as we mentioned at the beginning, if it's not appraised, it can cause some problems and it will cause renegotiation.
Well, I would also suggest, just coming from a buyer's agent's point of view, it's always very powerful when the agent representing the seller actually attends the appraisal. Because from a buyer's agent's point of view, it is the selling agent's job to make sure that house does appraise, because they're the ones that set the price. And I know that you always go, and I think that's very, very powerful to actually speak to the appraiser and see the appraiser as well.
Absolutely, absolutely. So if you guys have any questions, obviously feel free to reach out to us. And if you have any other subjects you want us to do these videos on a weekly basis, we'd be glad to hear from you as well. So we hope that we have gotten you
Real Estate Smart.
All right, you guys have a good weekend.
Have a great weekend.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye. I'm still on camera.